In this video, I'm going to share with you my top 5 favorite modern anime. Now, you may be wondering, hey, this is a personal development channel. This has nothing to do with personal development. Well, it's my channel. I can share what I enjoy. And I'm at that point where I don't have enough subscribers where they're going to have that much backlash. I get like 27 views per video anyways. So let's just get started. First and foremost, I have a love-hate relationship with modern anime because I think they do some things well, they do other things, they have potential, and then other things they need to catch up. They may be able to beat old anime, but we'll have to wait and see. So the first one, and this is probably my favorite manga of the decade, and that's One Punch Man. Now you might be like, whoa, One Punch Man, it's only got one season now. Oh, wait till you see what the manga story has in store for you. It is like hundreds of chapters ahead, and I've read all of it. It is insane. I mean, the story, it gets so complex, and yet it's so simple at its core. And you have this character, Saitama, who can literally just destroy everyone in one punch. And you might think it should be a simple story, but oh my gosh, the focus is never really on him. He's almost like this Deus Ex Machina, which is a plot device where he comes in and saves the day, but it's so dramatic. Like he sometimes doesn't come in. You know, there's all sorts of there's dozens of other characters that really take the forefront, and there's this tons of sub story around them, and there's a lot of tension, frustration. Battles that happen between them. It's crazy, and there's such a build up because the power levels keep ascending, and then like they're all like tired out, they're exhausted, and you know the boss is like incredibly strong, and then Saitama always swoops in at the point where you won't expect him to, or you don't think he will, or when everyone needs him, and it's the most funniest, incredible yet simplest story. I just love it. Like you have to see it firsthand, and I don't think season 1, the only season that's out so far, even comes close to doing it justice. By the way, this video was inspired by RDC World, one of my favorite YouTube channels, has been for a while. They really get anime, they really love manga. So yeah. Okay, number 2, what's the second modern anime with potential? Now, I mentioned old anime versus modern anime, and you know, oftentimes modern anime, just because their graphics are better, their visuals are better, doesn't necessarily mean it's better. Because ultimately, what matters is the story, right? And you have really big contenders like Yu Yu Hakusho, which, by the way, was a more vintage anime, you could say, because you could argue that Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, the big three, were also old anime, but you know, Yu Yu Hakusho, they knew when to end it. You know, 30, 40, 50 episodes, you're done. You know, you don't go on for 12 seasons just to make more money. And so, you know, when you look at Yu Yu Hakusho, I just think, you know, perfect. A lot of fighting, demons, romance, action, plot twists. It was so perfect. And there's even mystery, thriller. It was incredible. How do you even compare to something like this? I think Attack on Titan came out of the woodwork and just said, boom. There's a lot of good players still in the game. There's a lot of new and emerging artists who still know what they're doing. I mean, talk about one of the most, not just in the anime world, but in the world of film and entertainment. Talk about one of the best conspiracy stories of all time. I mean, you think of a conspiracy fiction story that even comes close, and you can't even think of it in terms of Hollywood films or in television. And they do it so well. I would say like the closest equivalent in the film industry I could think of recently was Snowpiercer. But, you know, that's a movie and it got revealed pretty quickly. This thing, right from the get-go, I knew I had a sense of what it is, and it just built into something where oftentimes you can't even predict what happens. incredible, incredible story. I mean, I could talk about it for a long time. Obviously, some things get a little ridiculous, but overall, really well done. And I really wish the world would pay more attention to it. I know the young kids love it, but you know, a lot of people still just don't like anime, and it sucks. I know friends and peers who don't, and it sucks. But luckily we have a lot of anime lovers online. Okay, so number 3. Now, let's get into some of the new anime. We're talking stuff that was released very, very recently that have hit the top of the charts, and has been mentioned to me numerous times by word of mouth. And number 3 has to go to Demon Slayer. I mean, talk about a show that just shot to the top of the charts and well deserved. I mean, you would think shows like this just kind of fade, because it's generally the same type of thing, just regurgitated in a different way. I mean, Demon Slayer on paper is, clearly borrows from elements of Naruto and many demon TV shows that came before it, like Yu Yu Hakusho. I mean, you got the demons who thrive on blood. You have the whole vampire-esque thing. You have the monsters of like higher and higher levels and an entire organization behind them, just like one could argue Hunter x Hunter. You have the exams and the movement up, like Hunter x Hunter or Naruto, and you almost ask yourself, well, it's just going to be basic, right? Well, it isn't. For some reason, it just does its job well. And maybe it's just something different about how they come out with their special abilities, how those manifest, how the characters are. I mean, you had that one Demon Slayer who's like a high level, and like she has this butterfly thing, and even her cloak, like when she jumps in the air, it turns into like a butterfly silhouette. It was like very well done. Like the visuals are maybe some of the best we've seen. I mean, when he swings that sword and the water like flows like Japanese artwork, it is visually incredibly well designed. It has its own flair to it, and then it has its own characters, which it gets a little ridiculous and a little crazy, but at the same time, it's so fun to watch. The story does progress. You start to learn more about the world, the villains, higher and higher levels of both organizations, the good guys, the Demon Slayers, and the different classes and power levels, and then the villains, and then you see them adventure through this world, and there's that little clique that starts to form. So it has a lot of potential. It's only on season 1. These are the type of things that could potentially flop as the seasons progress, but I don't think it will. It has a really strong base so far, if anyone's ever seen this first season. And it's crazy, this was a show that I didn't give the time of day when I first watched the first episode. I was like, basic. And man, does it progress once you give it a few more episodes. Okay, so that was number 3. So let's move into number 4. Number 4 is one that I've been hearing about in the last couple months. It's another new anime that has emerged and hit the top of Crunchyroll and once again deserves its spot. And this is Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, talk about yet another anime that on paper seems relatively similar to what we've seen before. You have this class organization like My Hero Academia, where the students join. This time they're sorcerers, and they kind of learn. They get more skilled and powerful. This one, it has a quick lead up. The backstory and explanation towards gaining powers is almost kind of wiped away. It's explained in like half an episode, and boom, you're already in the action. Everything's already kind of adjusted, almost as if the creators know that most of the watchers are already familiar with the whole, discovering superpowers thing. So they jump straight into it, and it moves at a fast pace. At the same time, the artwork is vastly different from a Demon Slayer or a One Punch Man, or anything else, because it has that dark, creepy flavor to it, almost like a Claymore because of how creepy the monsters are. But also it has a more mature vibe just to the drawings, the story, everything. I mean, the character blossoms through the monsters he encounters and what he has to do. And, it's creepy stuff. The monsters are kind of messed up. They come out of their mouth, and, the demons, they have like, even their fingers are all like wrinkly and messed up with long nails. It's not a horror, but it has that dark, mature vibe to it at times. And then it jumps to a more fun vibe. You can tell it definitely has some darker themes around dying and living without regret, more mature themes out there. So it has a special flavor that I like, because I really just don't like the, things that are a bit too kiddie, like fairy tale. All right, number 5, the 5th spot for best new modern anime. So I had to think about it, and honestly, this is just my personal thing. I really think that Seven Deadly Sins is trash. I don't like it. That's not number 5. I know a lot of people like it, but I never really liked it. So Seven Deadly Sins, not even going to be on the list. Number 5 actually is going to go to Hunter x Hunter. And you might be like, man, that's not new. That's an old anime. Really? I mean, it's really not that old, honestly. I found out about it in, I think, 2015 or 16. And, since then, it's really progressed and become pretty darn good. The story gets better and better. It has a kind of mix of its own kind of young, naive story with the kind of darker plot. There's some characters and villains in it, like Hisoka, that are just incredibly unique. Him with his bloodlust, that he almost can't help but to quench. And then you have like Killua and his creepy but super powerful brother. It has such a flavor of dark and, naive kid playful vibe that it almost fits in that in between for that preteen who's not a kid anymore but not an adult. And it just works really well. It kind of like works for every demographic. It's not an Attack on Titan where it just, every episode you feel like the world is just crap and everyone is suffering. You don't have to feel that sad in something like a Hunter x Hunter. It's nice and fun, and the episodes continue to roll in. So I cannot wait for that to continue, and it's a solid anime, except for the puzzle arc. But then the arc right after that, the Chimera Ant arc, is maybe the best one I've ever seen for at least a few years. So that's it for modern anime. I mean, these are stuff that I would rewatch, and I have been rewatching. Let me know if you would like a top 5 for old anime, because, man, that's a long list as well. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.